It's Tom from Cultaholic, and the Black and Gold brand just got done with their big 3-0. So what happened at NXT TakeOver 30? Start with the commentary. Sounds a bit different tonight due to a lack of Mauro Ranallo. We understand that Mauro is back home in Canada with his family right now. We don't know the full reasons as to why. But Corey Graves has been airdropped into Full Sail to help commentary tonight with Vic Joseph and Beth Phoenix. The commentary was a bit of an issue this evening because Beth wasn't there. I'm presuming this is the Zoom call commentary we've been having on Full Sail for some time with Corey and Vic at Full Sail and Beth at home. So they were watching it on like a half-second delay, which meant that you had Vic doing these big dramatic calls for moves that had happened like a beat or two before. I found it quite distracting at points. And now you will too. You're very welcome. A triple threat tag team top contenders match gets us underway. Breezango versus the Britain Brawlers versus El Legado del Fantasma. And this is a wild and woolly match to get us underway. Fandango hits a beauty of a powerbomb onto Whacking Wild, onto everybody outside the ring. That was a particularly fun spot. Lots of fast action throughout this one. All comes to a head very suddenly when we see Tyler Breeze land a supermodel kick onto Oney Lorcan and get the surprise 3 there. So now Breezango are the top contenders. They'll face Imperium for the NXT tag team titles. Good way to get us started tonight. Up next, it's Finn Bálor taking on Timothy Thatcher. Techers through the nose. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Thatcher with joint manipulation aplenty over Finn Bálor here. This is like a World of Sport match on heat is the best way to describe it. Not Sunday night heat, you know, like the kind of heat that dogs get. You get it. This was like just a really intense, aggressive, down and dirty technical wrestling encounter. Bálor fights back from Thatcher's joint manipulation shenanigans with some heavy strikes. This turns into a hard-hitting match with just haymakers being thrown left and right and left and right. At one point, we see Finn go for the coup de grace, lands badly on his knee, and you see him hit the ground clutching his leg. And you see Timothy Thatcher, eyes bugging out, like he's just spotted a pound coin on the floor. This is his catnip, like a guy with a bad leg. Runs over, attaches the half crab, then an ankle lock. Finn Bálor's able to roll through the ankle lock, hit a double stomp, and then come back with a coup de grace hit flush, followed by the 1916 for the 1-2-3 over Timbo Thatcher. Bálor getting the win. And Thatcher getting the rub, presumably. Really good match, actually. I'm really liking, I've said this quite a few times on NXT Graded, I love the fact that they've brought in Timothy Thatcher to be Timothy Thatcher. Like, this is the sort of Thatcher that I'm really enjoying at the moment. The NXT North American Championship hangs in the balance now. It is a ladder match to determine the undisputed champion. Cameron Grimes taking it to the moon if he can get by Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, and Velveteen Dream. This match starts very quickly with Priest attacking Dream as he's hot dogging and grandstanding on the top rope. This match is just lots of fast-paced action. It doesn't let up from the very get-go. Cameron Grimes has some really funny bits in this one. There's a bit where they're pulling ladders out from under the ring, and Grimes pulls out a little ladder. It's a nice little visual gag, that is. He ends up doing the splits at one point between 2 ladders. There's a beauty of a Tower of Doom shortly after this as well, where we see a powerbomb, a German suplex, and a superplex all at the same time. Oh, it just looked lovely. Candice LeRae makes her way out not long after this to check on Johnny Gargano. She ends up taking the ladder down in the ring to stop Grimes from going up. And Grimes is furious about this. Candice LeRae apologizes with a tilt-a-whirl into the ladder, held by Gargano, and a Hurricane Rana to the apron, taking out several other competitors in the process. Candice LeRae getting amongst it. Bit of intergender style tonight. Big fan. Bronson Reed and Johnny Gargano are fighting at the top at one point, and Gargano gets knocked down. And as Bronson's climbing up, Candice LeRae comes up the other side and jumps on his back. And Bronson Reed goes, "All right, fair enough. I've seen Royal Rumble 1998, Vader versus Goldust. Let's do that." Tsunami splash off the ladder onto Gargano with a Candice LeRae backpack. It was stupendous. Velveteen Dream at one point has a weird bit where he goes up the ladder and just starts doing his pose, and then he accidentally hits his hand on the belt. and gets annoyed with it and then remembers he's in a ladder match, so jumps over to the other ladder to climb to reach it. Shortly after this, it's the end of the night for Velveteen Dream as Bronson Reed tips up the ladder and Velveteen Dream goes flying over the barricade, and I think he went headfirst through a table. Velveteen Dream sent into oblivion in this particular moment. And shortly after this, we end up seeing Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano climbing up the top. They're doing a tug of war for the belt, which Priest wins to become the NXT North American champion. Really great ladder shenanigans from all of these guys here. And Damian Priest is a solid choice as a champion. If this is the North American title division, I'm excited for the North American title division. A match several years in the making, according to the promo video. It is Adam Cole facing the man making his in-ring wrestling debut, Pat McAfee. Pat does a little promo backstage before we get started, and he's very good on the mic. It's almost like he's a professional host. And then he gets in the ring and starts wrestling. And there's headlocks, and there's hot dogging and grandstanding. And then there's a bit where Pat's NFL mates and the Undisputed Era are all having a bit of a scuffle outside the ring. And here comes Pat McAfee with a huge, big old springboard somersault senton out of the ring, onto the floor, onto the people. It looked great, and you could tell he was delighted with how it went. He was just whooping and hollering to himself on the floor after he did it. Pat McAfee very much in control of the match from here. Some real dickish, heelish antics from Pat, but Cole eventually has enough after a slap. He just starts wailing on Pat McAfee. But Pat is wrestling and holding his own in this one. There's a bit where they're fighting on the top of the top turnbuckle, and this is the second gifable moment of the night, where Adam Cole is sat on the top rope and Pat McAfee's there. Cole pushes Pat McAfee away. Pat does a moonsault, lands perfectly on his feet, and then, as if he was Kurt Angle in 2003, runs at the corner, springboards to the top, and hits a superplex on Adam Cole. It was, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Pat goes to kick Cole in the head, but ends up kicking the steel steps by accident, which means Adam Cole takes the opportunity to work over the leg of Pat McAfee. But Pat will not be denied tonight. He hits a low blow on Adam Cole to take control of this one once again. Hits him with his version of the punt kick, which is that sort of big running kick that he did on Cole when Cole was at the commentary table a couple of weeks ago. I think this is kind of going to be, if Pat sticks around, this will be his finish. But it only got 2.5. But it felt like a match-ending moment, nearly. Pat goes for it all, climbs up to the top rope, and eats a super kick. And we see Adam Cole take down the knee pad as if he's going for his big move, changes his mind, gets onto the top rope, calls Pat over, hits Panama Sunrise for the 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole putting a full stop on the sentence that his rivalry with Pat McAfee. Adam Cole is always excellent. Pat McAfee was a flipping revelation here. Like, this is his first match. I defy you to watch that and not go, there's something here, you know. I defy you to watch what Pat McAfee does and not think there is some potential there. I thought he was, for his first match, I thought he was really, really good. Dakota Kai challenges Eo Shirai next for the NXT Women's Championship. We've got Raquel Gonzalez running interference on behalf of Dakota. This stops Eo Shirai's momentum early on, and Kai takes over with a series of kicks. She's promised to kick Eo Shirai over and over and over and over, and she comes very close to doing that. Io comes back with a shiote, some double knee bullet trains into the corner, and even hits a Warrior's Way, whilst Dakota Kai is Tree of Woad. Despite this, Kai is still in the match. She hits a chiropractor out of nowhere for a near fall. She goes for the armbar, but she can't quite eke out a victory over Io Shirai. She lands the go-to kick, but Shirai manages to get a foot on the ropes to break the cover, so hanging on in there. The ref gets a boot to the face from Dakota Kai at this point. The ref doesn't see Shirai's comeback after this, and the moonsault that should have bagged to the 3 count. Enter Raquel Gonzalez while the ref is down to drop Shirai with that big one-arm powerbomb drapes Dakota over the top. Only a 2 count as the referee is coming to. The match continues from there with Shirai managing to lock in a crossface on Dakota Kai. Kai able to wriggle out of it and stay alive in this one. She ends up going out of the ring with Raquel Gonzalez. Shirai, quick as a cat, leaps onto the top rope, hits a moonsault out of the ring. It looks as if she like drop kicks Raquel Gonzalez in the process. Sure, she gets like both feet in the face from Shirai. This moonsault's hit lovely. Then back into the ring goes Dakota Kai. Moonsault off the top proper. Ref's there to count it. 1, 2, 3. Io Shirai retains the NXT Women's Championship. Raquel Gonzalez gets into the ring afterwards, and she's going to beat Shirai into fine powder until Rhea Ripley turns up, and these two have themselves a nice long stare down. It looks as if they're gonna go at it there and then Raquel thinks twice about it and heads away. Her and Dakota Kai head up the ramp. And then there's a shot just before we move on to the final match. There is a shot where we see Rhea Ripley in the distance as Shirai is holding up her belt, and the look on Rhea Ripley's face. Ho ho! Ripley and Shirai. In my veins, please. Thank you. 3 quick segments before our main event. We get an advert for NXT UK. September 17th. It's only flipping coming back, isn't it? I'm intrigued as to what there is left. We will find out on September the 17th. Talking of coming back, Tommaso Ciampa making his return to NXT on Wednesday. And we go to Damian Priest, who is celebrating his big North American Championship win in a hot tub with some ladies. That is very on brand, Damian Priest. That is very on brand. Although, I wish you hadn't jumped into the hot tub with your shoes and your trousers on. It's a bit weird, that. And so we come to main event o'clock. It is Keith Lee defending his NXT Championship against Karrion Kross. The bell sounds on this one. They charge at each other like bulls, and Keith knocks Karrion Kross down. Keith in charge for a big part of this to start off with. Kross finds a weakness, a chink in the armour of Keith Lee when they're fighting outside the ring, and he ends up kicking the guardrail while Keith Lee's hand is trapped between the guardrail and the plexiglass. And from here, that hand, that arm is just a target, and Karrion just wears it down, wearing Keith Lee down slowly but surely. This is how, realistically, Karrion Kross can beat Keith Lee, because Keith Lee's a big boy. So if Kross was able to use like a limb and focus on it and break it and bend it, that's exactly what he did. Keith Lee fights on despite the pain as Kross has an armbar locked in on Keith Lee. Lee picks him up, turns it into a sit-out powerbomb to break the hold. Lee is just hanging on in there, but Kross won't be denied tonight. Doomsday Saito only gets a 2. Cross jacket locked in. Nearly the hand falls, and Keith nearly goes out, but Keith is able to just about fight out of the cross jacket. Coming back into this match at this point, giving everything he's got, but you can tell that Lee is spent, and Kross just keeps on coming. Lee goes up for a moonsault, but Kross is right there with him. He then hits a Doomsday Saito off the middle rope for the 1, 2, 3, and Karrion Kross is your new NXT champion. And the last thing we see on the night is Karrion Kross and Scarlett stood tall in the center of the ring as Doomsday is upon us at NXT. Now, it was an interesting match to watch, but it felt quite a long match and a bit slow and sluggish at points. I feel like this is the right result, though, and I am a staunch Keith Lee superfan. We made a song about him and everything. But I feel like Keith Lee has goals that are now beyond NXT. I don't think there's anything more Keith can do as a champion in NXT. So I think there are other pastures coming for Keith Lee. As for Karrion Kross, at time of recording, there is some news of Karrion Kross suffering a separated shoulder, possibly during that match. And we can only hope that Karrion Kross is in a good condition and can recover very quickly from whatever happened during the match. NXT TakeOver 30 was a good show, but the bar is so high for takeovers that this is one of those I don't think will go down as one of the more memorable nights in NXT. We've had 2 changings of the guard despite that, and the arrival of Pat McAfee, of all things. This is a very important moment for NXT, but will this show be looked on in the same way that TakeOver Brooklyn is, the first one? Probably not. but it was a good night of wrestling. And NXT do what they always do, and they set the tone for the weekend for WWE. So, over to you, Raw and SmackDown tonight. Your turn for some good wrestling matches in the Thunderdome. I'm Tom from Cultaholic, and that's what happened at NXT TakeOver 30.